In March 2004, I fly into Kabul. The amount of armament that has flown through this country during 25 years of continuous warfare is immediately evident. Every telephone pole has been shot at least 100 times. Much of the capital is rubble. And yet, Afghanistan is a thrilling place. Often when I'm talking to a jihadi veteran in London or Cairo, I could see his mind traveling back to that old killing field. And he's no longer a secretary or a driving instructor. He's a warrior again, inside a landscape so stark, so beautiful, so existential. It could be the set for a John Ford Western. I go to the Afghan National Museum, which once housed the finest collection of ancient artifacts in Central Asia. There's a banner out front. A nation stays alive when its culture stays alive. It's where the great treasures of the country are stored, going back to Alexander the Great and Genghis Khan, who also left their marks on this ancient, scarred land. The Taliban had come to the museum with sledgehammers. They pulverized every pre-Islamic artifact. The museum staff looked on horrified, and when the Taliban left, they swept up the shards and stored them in boxes. When I get there, the staff are painstakingly gluing the pieces back together. And if sledgehammers weren't enough to do the job, the Taliban turned to dynamite. There once was a fine zoo in Kabul. Like everything in Afghanistan, it has suffered from 25 years of warfare, but the animals themselves, although neglected, had not been targeted. Families still brought their children to the zoo until the Taliban took over the capital. When the Taliban stormed into Kabul, a group of fighters entered the zoo. One of them leaped into the lion's den. There was a single elderly lion named Marjan. The fighter cried, "Who's the lion now?" The real lion bit his arm off. Another fighter saw what was happening and he threw a hand grenade into the den, blinding the lion. They went through the zoo, randomly killing animals. One of them cut the nose off a bear because he said his beard wasn't long enough. Only 3 animals survived Taliban rule: a wolf, the noseless bear, and Marjan, the sightless lion. The Taliban was swept out of power by the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan. But when the U.S. turned its attention to Iraq, the Taliban reemerged. Now the Taliban has regenerated not only in Afghanistan, but also in Pakistan. The shaky democratic governments of both countries are threatened by the chaotic insurgency spilling out of the tribal areas of Pakistan and actually occupying large swaths of territory. People live in terror, listening to their radios to see who's been targeted next.